A research study published in December 2022 at the Stellenbosch University revealed that half of South Africa's publicly employed teachers are above the age of 50. This has triggered worries about an approaching wave of teacher retirements. Teachers mostly retire between the ages of 55 and 60, though in some circumstances a limited number are allowed to remain in practice until 65. Julian Hewitt, CEO of Jakes Gerwell Fellowship, joins us to discuss whether there's substance to these concerns. Julian, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We really appreciate your time. Are we seeing fewer young people becoming educators, and if so, why?
Yeah, thanks very much for this opportunity, Katlego. So I think the question is really just more around the structure of the fact that post-94, we had quite a significant number of teachers join the teaching profession. And ever since then, there's been this big hump in our teaching demographic curve. And those people that have joined us at that stage are nearing retirement, as you've said. So there is quite a dramatic scenario that is in our very near horizon, that we can expect almost half of our teachers to be retiring in the next 8 to 10 years. This is based on government research. It comes out of the payroll data of around 300,000 teachers that we currently employ in the state sector. So this is a very real factual-based challenge that we are facing right now, Katlego.
And what's causing the imbalance?
So, yeah, I think it's really just the fact that we had a bit of an anomaly with so many teachers that joined us post-94, and essentially that they are nearing retirement age. The retirement age in the teaching profession is 60 as it stands right now. And so what the implication is that as a country, we really need to go from essentially looking at developing around 26,000 new teacher graduates, which we currently do, and that needs to be almost doubled to around 50,000 teachers that needs to then be entering the teaching profession by the year 2030. So that's in about 7 years from now.
So how's then this shortage affecting the basic education, especially impacting the learners in the classroom at that stage of their learning?
Sure. So maybe a couple of points to that. So the first is just to say that in South Africa, the reality is we also do have a number of unemployed teachers. And so that is obviously one of the issues that do get raised when we talk about this looming teacher crisis, to say, well, actually, there's a lot of unemployed teachers. And generally, one of the challenges here is we have teachers that are qualified in subjects where there isn't a very strong demand, or they're in certain districts or provinces where those teaching subjects aren't specifically required. But to come to your question, Katlego, the very real implication is that we could see a huge increase in the teacher-to-pupil ratio if this situation isn't addressed in a very kind of creative way. And it is, of course, very difficult to graduate teachers in a short space of time. So there is a lot of very innovative and creative thinking that needs to be applied as to how we avoid this looming crisis.
So what other alarming findings stood out for you in the research?
So, look, there are a number of challenges facing the education system in South Africa. And, you know, we obviously come from a very complicated legacy. The looming teacher crisis, for me, is by far the biggest one. We obviously are dealing with a power crisis right now. We're dealing with, water crisis in certain areas as well. For me, this is that same scenario playing out in the teaching space. The other newsworthy research item that's recently come up is also the sense of reading for meaning. It was conducted by a global think tank called the OECD, and they do an assessment of the reading for meaning at a grade 4 level. And the study, the most recent one that was essentially conducted in 2021, found that grade 4 learners in South Africa, 81% of them cannot read for meaning in any language. And that, of course, is hugely problematic in our education system at that stage of their learning development.
Julian, we seem to be facing a crisis here, and like you say, we'll have this teacher shortage crisis by year 2030. What do you believe needs to be done to avert this crisis?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, these are big challenges. The first is the Department of Basic Education is aware of them, and really it needs to become a national prerogative. There needs to be significant collaboration happening. There needs to be a lot of innovation and trying new things, and we really need to be bringing in the public and private sector into seeing this as a national emergency. The reality is our quality of education is already very low, and we cannot afford to already miss another generation of learners because of the pupil and teacher ratios and other spin-off effects. This will obviously impact our economy and many other areas. The reality, though, and this is my hopeful side, is to say, well, there are opportunities coming out of this challenge. So you have the opportunity in a very short space of time to bring in a completely new and revitalized teaching cohort into the profession. And so there's an opportunity to say, how do we attract high-quality teachers into this profession? How do we increase the quality of the selection process to make sure that the kind of people that put their hands up to be teachers are there for the right reasons, they're passionate and they're motivated about the subject? And also, how do we go about better supporting them in this newly qualified teaching space to make sure that they not only enter but also stay in this profession? So there are some exciting possibilities. We also do know that younger teachers, as a general default, do, according to research, have better learning outcomes. They're more accessible and connected to being able to also harness technology. So there definitely are some upsides, but we really do need to come to the table around this issue.
We most certainly do. Julian, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It truly was a pleasure speaking to you. That was Julian Hewitt, the CEO of the Jakes Gerwell Fellowship, speaking to us there about the potential teacher shortage that we would face in the year 2030.